It is said that 61% of us gain weight between Thanksgiving and the first week of January. But it doesn't have to be that way. So if you're not trying to pack on the pounds this holiday season, yet you want to enjoy yourself, this episode is for you. All right, let's get to it. Hey, my name is Chalene Johnson, and I'm here today to help you, as I've helped millions of people over the course of my 30 years in health and fitness, to figure out a way to live a life that makes sense for you. One without deprivation, one that doesn't include restricting and dieting and crazy gimmicks and just torturing yourself by looking at the number between your toes. Today, I want to share with you some ways that you can manage the holiday seasons and actually enjoy yourself, like literally be happy and enjoy some treats and to live your best life. But ideally, you'd like to do so and not have to put yourself on some crazy plan in January or feel like you've got so much weight to lose as the New Year's approaches. I want you to feel and look amazing. So today I'm sharing with you what myself and tens of thousands of other people have been able to use these tips over the course of the last 15 years to maintain or even in some cases lose weight over the holidays. Before we get started, just a quick reminder to make sure that you click that subscribe button, turn on your notification bell, and be sure to smash the like button. I don't know why they always say that. It's like a thing on YouTube, like smash. I don't want you to smash the like button. I want you to lightly tap the like button. That's all. I did this recently when we were on our holiday in Europe, which is what they call it in Europe. When you take a vacation, it's not a vacation, it's a holiday. So we're on holiday in Europe, and it was an extended holiday. And I decided before we left, I was on this mission to get my body fat even lower and not to worry about my weight, but to really kind of focus on getting leaner and to do things to improve my hormone levels and to kind of improve my overall lifestyle, stress level, etc. And I was making kind of a steady decline. Maybe I'd say 1 or 2 pounds per month. So nothing crazy. But before we left for our European vacation, our European holiday, I decided that it did not matter to me if I continued to lose body fat. I just wanted to maintain. So the first thing that I want you to do is decide what you want your holidays to look like. Do you want to maintain the weight that you're at? Do you want to continue losing at the rate that you've been losing at? Do you want to continue losing but maybe at a slower rate? Or do you want to give yourself permission to gain a few pounds? And if so, how many pounds or how much body fat? There's no harm in allowing ourselves to go up and down a few pounds. That's called life. That's freaking life. It's called hormones. It's called the rotation of the earth. It's called digestion. It's called life. So seriously, it doesn't make you a better person. It doesn't make you a worse person. It doesn't make you a more attractive person. It might make you feel better when your clothes fit comfortably, but it doesn't change who you are. And I want you to decide that. I want you to decide what you want your holidays look like before we go much further. So right now, just make a decision very quickly. What do you want them to look like? That's up to you. Also, I want you to decide what each and every occasion looks like before you go to it, even perhaps the day before. So I'm filming this the day before Thanksgiving, and I've already decided what I want Thanksgiving to look like. I want Thanksgiving to look like a feast for me. Now, I don't want to gorge myself, but I know that my daughter's mother-in-law is bringing 4 different pies. I'm going to try every single one of the pies. I know that. I'm also going to eat my own stuffing, which is really, I don't even know why I call it stuffing, because it's like bread pudding with sausage almost. There's eggs and heavy whipping cream and so much butter and Hawaiian bread rolls. That's what I use for my stuffing. It's so good. And Jimmy Dean's sage sausage. Let me tell you, I can't even say that. It is the most die-for recipe, and I'm going to have a nice heaping serving of that. And I'm also going to have turkey, and I've already decided that. So I've already decided I'm going to have a little bit of everything, but I'm going to have relatively small portions. And I'm not going to starve myself before or after or the day after. I'm just going to enjoy it. You know, the same way when you have a day where you eat really, really clean or whatever you want to call it. And then you get on the scale and you're like, oh, I didn't even lose a pound. And then, in fact, sometimes you even gain a pound. Yeah, the body doesn't work that way. One meal isn't going to make or break you. So will I probably be consuming more calories in that meal than I normally do? Probably. I would assume so, especially because I'm going to try probably 4 different types of pie. There's homeostasis. I'm going to get back on track at the next meal. So that's a decision I want you to make before each event. If you're somebody who bakes or makes cookies, or you yourself involve a lot of food when it comes to your traditions, just make a decision what that's going to look like for you. Make a decision if you're going to be like picking at it while you're making it. Make a decision of what it's going to look like when you have your holiday potluck. Make a decision before the event what you want it to look like, and then stick to it. But you're in the driver's seat. My next tip for you is to stay calm and have the right positive belief about the holiday seasons. If you already believe that you're going to miss your workouts and you're going to overeat and you're going to gain weight, well, then guess what? That becomes your reality. Whatever you're telling yourself, whatever your brain is saying, your body, your actions, even your subconscious, they all align to make certain that that actually happens. It's called cognitive dissonance, right? Like, so that's our brain's job, is to make sure that it's looking for the things that support the beliefs that we have. So instead, I want you to stay calm and just remember that you're probably going to miss a few workouts, but it's really not the workouts that make the biggest difference in people's waistline during the holidays. You know what it is? It's less movement and more food coming in. So it's less energy out, more energy going in. It's as simple as that. Like, I mean, I wish it was something more like, obviously hormones are involved in all of these things. But when we're talking about like just gaining weight over a period of 1 month, that is about energy. So know this, stay calm, but know that you have the power to manage that energy balance. So if you know, boy, this week I'm going to go to a potluck and I've already decided what I want it to look like, and I know I'm going to eat a little bit more. And then I know that 2 days after that, there's this get together with all my girlfriends and we do a cookie exchange. P.S. Can I just suggest that we start having you be the one to suggest traditions that maybe don't revolve around food? I mean, I don't know. I don't care if you think I'm the weird one. Like, why not do something other than that? We have this tradition called 12 envelopes that I'm going to do an episode about it, because it is something so cool for you to do with your friends, your family, maybe people at work. It's pretty awesome. And it doesn't involve food, but it does involve being generous to others this time of year, which I think is really important. Anyways, back to energy and energy out. So if you know that there's going to be a couple of different occasions and you've already decided like, okay, I'm going to have a cocktail at that party or two, and I'm going to have like my mom's stuffing at this, like you just decide, okay, I'm going to have more energy probably coming into my more food coming into my body this week. So therefore, I should probably try to make sure that I'm getting more energy out. Now, how do you do that? You can do things which I recommend during the season that involve NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenics. It's doing something like what I'm doing right now. So I'm standing to record this podcast. So in the 30 minutes that I'm recording this podcast, I'm going to burn twice as many calories as I would if I pulled my stool over and sat on my stool. It might not seem like a big difference, but like that's the kind of thing that it really adds up. And so if you're more aware during the holiday seasons of your NEAT calories, thinking about, okay, where can I walk to? For example, my husband and I today, in fact, when we went out for a lunch, it's the place where we wanted to go to lunch is about 1.5 miles from here. I'm like, we should probably walk it. Because even though I'd already walked earlier in the day for my exercise, I know that tomorrow for Thanksgiving, I'm going to eat more calories, and I don't want to have to hold back. Like, I want to enjoy myself. I'm not going to be a glutton. I'm not going to binge because I won't need to, because I'm going to eat as I normally do, because I'm going to get in some more NEAT activity, some more NEAT calorie burning. So we walked to our lunch spot and then walked back and probably burned the additional calories that I'm going to be consuming tomorrow. Now, don't be a freak about this. You know, the last thing I want to do is trigger any kind of eating disorder. Speaking as someone who suffered from orthorexia, I know that it's really easy to slip into these like manic ways of thinking where it's like, okay, I need to calculate how many calories I'm going to be eating on Thanksgiving. I need to calculate how many calories I'm going to be burning when I walk. Like, just be relaxed and calm about these things. Don't worry about it so much. That's the best advice that I can give you. When I used to worry about this stuff, that's when I did pack on the pounds. Like, my body knew that I was fighting against it. And when I changed the way I viewed my body, when I changed the way I viewed food, when I started focusing on relationships and being happy and not being that annoying person who was so freaked out about like where we were eating and what's on the menu and oh no, what if they like it? I don't know if you ever can recognize when you're in that headspace how aware everybody else is that you are struggling. It's funny because you think you're pulling a fast one on everyone. You think that they think you're super disciplined, but they know. They know that you're struggling. They know that you are controlled by these thoughts. They know that you can't relax around food, and it's painful for other people. It really is. It's uncomfortable. And I don't think you want to make people uncomfortable. So I am recommending to you, if for some reason you're catching this video and you have been struggling, or maybe you're just wondering if you're struggling with addiction, whether it's binge eating or overeating or bulimia, anorexia, orthorexia, if you think, if other people have said like, oh, that's kind of weird, or you just get the sense that like you're not like most people and it's controlling your thoughts, it's controlling the way you live your life, you might want to consider, may I suggest you look into getting some help, because there is a way you can heal yourself from this. But you do need professional help, and there's no shame in asking for that. Next, you need to hydrate yourself like it's your job. I don't want you walking around worried about where your phone is. I want you thinking, where's my water bottle? And have I taken a sip recently? Like, drink more water. It's so good for every single system of your body. It helps to regulate hunger. It helps to flush out toxins. It helps to help you figure out if, in fact, you're actually hungry or if you're just thirsty, which is often the case. Just hydrate, and I promise just drinking extra water is going to make a huge difference in whether or not you pack on the extra pounds this holiday season. Next is to create new boundaries for yourself, like just kind of a new way of approaching the holidays. One thing I used to do every single year was make Scottish shortbread. And it is basically flour, sugar, and butter, and more butter, and then more sugar. And I could not help myself when I was making those. I would eat like half a batch raw, half a batch after it was cooked. And it was kind of a tradition that we did with my mom. And then I kind of took it on after I got married. And I don't know that everybody loved the shortbread cookies as much as I did. But what I do know is I'm almost positive that little gift they gave to people, those shortbread cookies, resulted in like a 5 to 7 pound weight gain of my own each year. And I thought, why am I giving people something that isn't necessarily healthy for them? Like, there's other ways to show love. It takes a lot of time, and I just didn't have the appropriate boundaries for myself. So I just stopped making them. And you know what it did? It reduced my stress a lot, like a ton. Not having to make homemade baked goods, etc. Like, some of you can do that and you don't indulge in them. I don't. Like, if I'm baking anything, my fingers are in the batter. I am eating the dough. I'm eating the cookies. Like, I loved baked goods, and I love baking baked goods, and I love eating my own baked goods. So that's a boundary for me that I'm like, it's probably not a great idea. Another boundary for me, you can call it a rule, but when I say rule, that feels like I have to stick to it. I just mean it's like a guideline. How about that? Is we have one day of leftovers, and then after that, they need to be thrown away. And I know that's so hard for some of us because we feel like it's so wasteful. Well, if there's somebody you want to donate them to, if there's somebody in need, or if you want to give them to someone who's homeless, or you want to take them, I don't know even if a shelter will accept them, but if there's somebody else you want to give them to, great. But if they're in your fridge, then there's a likelihood you're going to continue to indulge in them late night, or you know yourself. So if you have those leftovers, decide what the boundary is for you. Maybe you don't even want them after the meal's over. Maybe you throw them away after the meal. Maybe you go 2 days of having those leftovers, and whatever hasn't been consumed, you throw it away. Like, having guidelines and boundaries for yourself before you enter that season is so important. This is true for us when our kids were little around Halloween. We did not buy candy until 2 days before Halloween. And I know you're thinking, like, all the good Halloween candy is gone by then. Oh, well, because the good Halloween candy is the stuff that I wanted to eat. So if it was in the house for like weeks in advance, I was going to dig into it. You know what I mean? So it's just knowing yourself and setting up an environment that's conducive so that you don't have to rely on discipline. I mean, if you're not being tempted, you don't have to rely on discipline. And the temptations are often things that we've invited into our homes. So establish healthy boundaries for yourself. Next, and I know this is a tough one, but you gotta minimize alcohol consumption, specifically the sugary drinks. And so often we go to these parties and we have craft cocktails and things that are like loaded with sugar, loaded with toxic alcoholic products that have been manufactured here in the United States, where manufacturers are allowed to take a look at any alcohol bottle that's domestically produced. So here in the United States specifically, take a look. It will tell you the alcohol content and it doesn't tell you anything else that's in the bottle. Why? Because lobbyists have made it so that these distillers, they don't have to tell you what's in the bottle. They don't have to tell you what additional toxins, preservatives, additives, the toxins that they put into alcohol that's here in the United States is one of the reasons why people feel so inflamed, so bloated, so hungover, and like crap after they have sometimes like 1 or 2 drinks, especially if you're somebody who doesn't methylate. I should do like a whole episode on the MTHFR gene. A large percentage of us have the MTHFR gene, which means that we don't methylate as easily. We don't methylate as well, which means that it is very difficult for our bodies to rid ourselves of toxins. And those of us who have the MTHFR, I know what it sounds like, gene, if we have an alcoholic drink that has more toxins in it, which you wouldn't know because it's not labeled, you're going to feel like a Mack truck hit you. You're often going to find that you get more inebriated quicker. And the next day, you feel like someone slipped you a roofie and you're like, I don't understand. I had 1 cocktail. So I will say this. If you are going to drink alcohol, my recommendation is just water them down. Like just do a wine spritzer. That's half sparkling soda and half wine. Consider doing something that's all natural. So for myself and my husband, we drink Dry Farm wines. It's not even a wine. It's a company that imports wines and champagnes from Europe where their standards are like, insane compared to American standards. I will put a link to Dry Farm wines in our show notes. It is a membership program, so they never have specials, which I think is kind of cool because like their thing is we pass along the absolute lowest prices and that's our commitment. So because of that, they didn't even do like a Black Friday special. But I will put a link to my code, which I think gives you it gives you an extra bottle for a penny, but it is a membership thing. So I think you have to buy a bottle, like a pack of 6 bottles or something. But it's the holiday season, so at least you have a healthy alternative to bring as a gift for the hostess of your next party. When we do Dry Farm wines, I love their champagne. Love it, love it, love it. So I just have them curate the whole box with champagnes that are imported from Europe. And I never get a hangover. I'm definitely not encouraging anyone to drink because let's face it, all alcohol is a toxin. It just is. But at least I think it's important that we consider a less toxic toxin. So limit your alcohol consumption. Do that by deciding in advance what it is you're going to drink. Give yourself a however many drink minimum. That's up to you. Or maybe you want to make December dry. That's an idea. Next, this is a great time to consider intermittent fasting. Now, I did a recent episode. You can find it in our show notes. I will link it. And I will also put a link to it for those of you who are watching on YouTube. I did a whole episode on why women in particular need to approach intermittent fasting differently, especially those of you who are perimenopausal. So please check out that video if you're considering doing intermittent fasting. I want you to do it the right way. And for those of you who are menopausal, I think this is a wonderful time to start practicing intermittent fasting. And you can do that this month by just pushing the time at which you would normally have breakfast, push it by an hour. And then if the next day you can do another hour, and the next day another hour until you're like, okay, that's about right. And to go like 13, 14, maybe even a 15 or 16 hour fast during the month of December is a great idea. This is a great time to start intermittent fasting. You will naturally start the process of autophagy after a certain number of hours. You'll start to feel better. You'll start to have less hunger hormones. It's a great way to regulate your hunger hormones. But caveat, if you do, however, have a history of an eating disorder, I highly recommend that you work with a registered dietitian if you're thinking about trying intermittent fasting so they can help you to do so in a way that is safe and healthy for you. My next tip is to stay the course. Like if you've been exercising regularly, if you've been eating healthy all along, continue to do that. The last thing you want to do is starve yourself all day because you know you're going out to a big dinner that night. What that often leads to is deprivation and binging. Like, it's crazy how when we deny ourselves something, it makes us want it so bad. And I don't care how much self-discipline you think you have, eventually you're going to lose it. And it's like this moment where you just like break and you're like, I deserve it and I don't care. You don't need to get to that point. Continue eating as you have been eating. For myself personally, that means I sit down, I don't track my macros anymore. I did a whole episode on that recently. If that works for you, great. I just don't think there's a one size approach to nutrition. I think a lot of us have to figure this out. I figured out that tracking for me was pointless. It was stressful. It made me crazy. It felt disordered for me. It made me very obsessive. And it always made me feel bad because I never out of 10 days, I might hit like one day that was perfect. So it just drove me nuts. Anyways, so now what I try to do, and I will continue to do through the holiday seasons, is just make sure with every meal, I'm focused on a protein first. A healthy protein, especially ladies who are over 40, we need more protein. I'm going to be doing an episode in the coming weeks about every single supplement that I take and why, including creatine. I'm going to address pre-workout. I'm going to address BCAAs. I'm going to address all the different supplements that I take and why I take them, and if you should be taking them, perhaps based on your age, etc. So if you haven't already, please double check and make sure that you've subscribed. I've been hearing from a lot of people lately that they're like, I know I subscribed, but then I went to check and I'm unsubscribed. So apparently this is a major problem. So if you have ever, like I went weeks and I didn't see any of your episodes, just weren't popping up on my podcast app or on YouTube, just double check right now and make sure that you are subscribed. If you are watching on YouTube, also please make sure that you hit the notification bell, and then you're more likely to see the episodes when they come out. Because I'm going to do the whole episode breaking down all of my supplements. And one of the reasons why it is so important, especially ladies over 40, that we're looking at our plate and going, okay, is there protein on here first, is because we don't produce as many enzymes as we age that break down proteins so that we can use them in the way that we need to. So it's very important that we're increasing our protein intake, that we're continuing to strength train, that we're continuing to put muscle into our bodies. It is not in this holiday season that you want to up your cardio. In my opinion, just continue the course, continue exercising the way that you have. Add that strength training in. Heavy strength training is the foundation. Like, it's the foundation of your metabolism. It truly is. And then for the extra calories, instead of like hitting the treadmill super hard or like killing yourself with cardio, think about your neat calories. Again, it's standing while you're watching TV. I know it sounds crazy, but like it's standing and folding clothes at a table, or it's standing and wrapping your presents. Like, just think of doing more standing and more walking to places, more parking. I know it sounds cliche, but like parking further away and walking, taking the stairs. I know these things sound cliche, but they're not. They are legit. Because if you're tracking your calorie burn, which I do, I track my activity on my Oura Ring and I track my sleep. You can see when it adds up, and it's fun. It's exciting. You're like, God, I didn't even exercise. I didn't think I was exercising today, but look how much activity I got in. And it's so much more powerful to do that versus like go to the gym and beat yourself up for an hour and then like sit all day. Like, get yourself a standing desk. Oh, here, let me show you this. So if you're watching on YouTube right now, I'm showing you this little laptop stand that makes for the it just fits perfectly on your regular desk, and it turns your desk into a standing desk. Another thing that I like to do, for those of you who do go to the gym or you have a treadmill, is I will just walk at a really slow pace and do the things I normally do on my phone. Like, think about the amount of time that we spend scrolling Instagram or making a post or responding to emails or making that holiday gift list or even online shopping. I mean, I can spend hours. I don't know about you, but like, I'm not going to the mall, but I'm going to spend hours online shopping. However, if you're going to the mall, at least you're walking. If you're online shopping and you're sitting down, you're not burning any calories. Get on a treadmill, just walk at a nice slow clip. Just a clip that allows you to just casually walk and be looking down at your phone and not have to worry about tripping. And I promise you, you're going to burn more calories. Again, these are neat calories. This doesn't mean it's exercise. It doesn't mean it's like tremendously powerful for your heart health, but it is really good for your body to move. You put half of these things that I've shared with you today into practice, and I promise you this, you will not pack on the pounds this holiday season, my friend, if that's your goal. And if it's not, that's okay too. Either way, I love you. I mean it. And I'll talk to you soon.